Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, is my mic okay? Wait 1 second. Okay, it should be good now. Can you guys hear me? Hello? How's everybody doing? We good? Volume good? Everything good? Good. Tanner, get a Mac. No, honestly, my computer has gotten solved. Everything got fixed. Have some very special mods in the Discord chat that have sorted me out. We are back to being good. It's all finance now. Happy birthday to me. Great. Let's do it. Sodak Zach, thank you for the help, brother. Really do appreciate it. But I still have some things to do in terms of the audio, getting that back to normal, the color, everything. That's all got to get sorted over time. But this is to worry about later, okay? Today, we talk about finance, and that's what we're going to keep the topic of discussion on. Hopefully, everyone is getting excited for the week ahead. It will be a busy one. And I want to talk about Palantir today, OpenAI, SoFi especially, a little bit of Robinhood, if we shall. More SoFi in terms of Galileo, NVIDIA, Google, more Google. Fun one. It's a fun one. And then maybe if I can get a chance, I'll talk Tesla and call Steve as well, because there might be something interesting that he has to tell us. So strap in. And then later on, we also have the FinTech or the Tech Bros Weekly. 1 second. I'm going to put the light on back there because I like the way it looks. Okay. Can't have the background not without the red or green or whatever colors I got going on. Okay, so I think that we should first jump into this OpenAI Palantir conversation. Something happened with Citron Research where they ended up shorting Palantir, and he's been coming out with a bunch of reports, Andrew Left has, about why he believes that Palantir is overvalued. Now, I think that even the biggest of bulls would say it's an expensive software company right now, but could be the next Microsoft. And are you willing to pay a premium if the company that you're going to hold for the next 20, 30 years continues to accumulate clients, take market share, and just dominate in an entire space, in a space that the total addressable market is completely unfound, and that it probably will never be found in the world going forward. So I think that there is a premium to be paid on Palantir, definitely. But I did actually like this comparison by Citron Research, and you guys tell me if I'm crazy here, but this was from his report today that said OpenAI at $500 billion puts Palantir at $40, and that's generous. Now, I'm not saying anything along that lines. Okay, I would pay for Palantir a lot more or a lot higher than $40 per share. But on my last podcast with the FinTech Friday guys, you guys will remember that I was talking about purchasing OpenAI and how I think it's so unbelievably cheap. Well, I shouldn't say that, but it's such a generational name, and you have to pay a premium for generational names, just like Palantir. But whenever you start looking at the amount that OpenAI is about to generate next year at $29.6 billion in revenue in 2026 and expected to do over $100 billion by 2029, like, this is an unbelievable amount of revenue expectations based on their user growth and the actual amount that those users are spending time and money on OpenAI, versus Palantir 2026 revenue being pegged at around $5.6 billion. So let's say that OpenAI was very bullish there, and they come in, at a miss, and that ends up being, $28 billion, $26 billion in revenue, right? Versus Palantir ends up dominating and putting up $6 billion, $6.5 billion versus expectations. They beat OpenAI lowers. Whenever you look at the valuations, especially at $300 billion, which is really what we were talking about on Friday, it really does put into perspective. Now, that's just revenue. I'm not talking about the margins. The margins on Palantir are much, much more comfortable on much more comfortable on Palantir than OpenAI, that continues to lose potentially $20 billion per year for the next few years. Okay. Now, people, definitely not, Palantir did not have bad earnings. They had unbelievable earnings. But what did they say here? Wait, that's an actual background? Yeah, I can go back. This is real, okay? There's no fake background here. Someone said a comment earlier, I think I might have scrolled past it, about it being a commodity. No, never mind. It was right here. What happened to the commodity argument? Well, if you're partnering with Microsoft and they want to work with you almost exclusively, and then Apple wants to partner with you, and to the point where they're partnering so deeply that Elon Musk is coming out and saying that there's antitrust issues and that they're pushing the algorithm to support OpenAI. Where is the commodity in being, the number one provider to the largest ecosystems, literally the two largest ecosystems in the entire world? Okay. So I've been a big fan, I think that OpenAI has something special. If you continuously see every single time that they are putting out not just benchmark reports, because I know that GPT-5 was a little bit of a miss there, but in terms of user usage, and we can actually look at that here. There was a report. Where did I save it here? If I didn't save it, I'm going to go crazy. Anyway, I'm sure we'll be able to find it. But it was on the daily usage of each one of these apps via SimilarWeb, which is the same, website that I use to track SoFi and Robinhood and all of those names. So let's just take a look and see if we can find it. Daily users. Because there was a great chart using SimilarWeb to chart out the growth. And OpenAI looks extremely strong. Gemini looks like it's growing quickly and taking market share as well. But the DeepSeeks of the world and many of these other players have actually shrunk over time. They've sort of had a blip in the moment and then faded off from there. But yeah. But so essentially, I'll try to find it, or if someone finds it, end up DMing me. But I actually do think that that's a pretty dang good comparison with OpenAI. And you're seeing them make government contracts directly. You're going to see a lot more, they have the LLM, which then they can end up pushing out into more tools like agentic AI and working with potentially robotics companies to end up, being the LLM that runs all the vision stuff to, just essentially every single part. It's really vision, tagging, identity, all these sort of things. And I don't see OpenAI having a lack of market going forward for the next, 10 plus years. I know it's a little early to decide the winners, but they're probably amongst one of the few. So if I could, I would love to have equity in OpenAI. And if you have SoFi, for example, you can get access to private markets and end up taking stake in that. But me as a Canadian, I don't have these types of tools. So it's a little bit harder for me, but it doesn't mean that I can't get it. It just might mean that the accessibility to those funds is just a little bit harder. When does OpenAI go public? Well, I actually think sooner than people think, because their need for liquidity, their need for capital is what I should have said, is so freaking high that, you can find some super investors in private markets, but the amount that they need to raise is so much that they will end up bringing it to the largest pools of capital, which is, general retail and institutional and, mutual funds and all of these things that have trillions and trillions of dollars. But it would be the largest IPO ever in history. And I think you could probably see that in the next, conservatively, 36 months, hopefully 24 months. Yeah. Anyway, let's jump into SoFi. And I'm going to start with a comment that is bearish, and then we're going to work our way into bullish comments. But Scott Henderson, who's actually a viewer of the channel and he watches the FinTech Friday show, Scott Henderson is works for the marketing team on Galileo. He just tweeted out one time that he loves the SoFi community. Obviously, he works for them, but on the Galileo side. Then he said this thing today that I thought was a little interesting. Let's say Nubank hypothetically announces that they have a tech platform and begins offering it to other banks and fintechs in Latin America. Would their competitors be opening to working with them, or do you think none would, because they're empowering a competitor going after the same customers? And I thought, wow, what an interesting statement. Is he trying to say that the companies would still work with Nubank? Or is he stating that no, it is empowering Nubank, so they actually would stay away from it? Because if he's saying that, that's exactly what SoFi is doing in the United States. And it's been the same bearish case that I've heard over and over and over from people in the space, from SoFi's competitors, from the competitors that have left. They've also stated that because they're working with SoFi, they didn't really want to work with them all that much. And if he is stating like, hey, Nubank's not going to do this because they're not going to be able to deal with Latin America, so this is why Galileo is going to do so well in Latin America. Okay, but think about SoFi in the US. Like, I think it was trying to be bullish for Galileo in LATAM to say, hey, you know what? We actually have a case to expand out, even if new entrants with really good tech end up entering the space as well. But like, I don't know. That kind of affects SoFi in two different ways. Either you're saying they're going to do well in LATAM, but they're going to suffer the same effects in the States, or vice versa. Now, into my more bullish comments, but I just wanted to say, I thought that was a little bit bearish, in my opinion, that comment. Okay. Is Galileo capable of bridging USD to cryptocurrency or cryptocurrency to USD? Yes. Yes, they do have stablecoin capabilities and on ramp and off ramp for cryptocurrency, which they've had for quite some time, actually. Well, I don't know about that, B-dubs. I think that you are going to see some materialize. I think there's two schools of thought. One is that they are closing customers, but you're not going to see that actually make a financial difference till Q1 of 2026. But there is probably some clients that are just like, hey, why won't we deal with this software direct client that will not use our data versus this one that also has a combined competitor attached to it that's going to learn from our insights, which they have done constantly through Chime, through all of these companies. And then, you know, SoFi's three largest customers on the tech platform, Vero, Current, and Chime, have all left. Now, supposedly, some are coming back now, which is quite interesting because even though, you know, SoFi does get an edge, they have such a good tech platform that like Chime and, or well, not Chime specifically because they just left. Maybe we'll see them come back eventually, but that Vero specifically or Chime specifically might be, or Current might be coming back. Sorry, I've jumbled so many words there. I'm sure no one understood what I was saying, but big customers are leaving. There's a chance they're coming back because Galileo is so good, regardless of who owns the tech. The same thing, and the reason why this is such a real problem as well is the sort of the same reasons of the Braintree P2P solution for PayPal, and then it being owned via PayPal exclusively. People actually thought that hurt their ability to grow because, one, it's the main sort of goal of PayPal is to push their own specific buy button. So if there's a vendor that, or like a merchant that particularly wants Google Pay and Apple Pay and all of these things, but they still want the best tech solution, which might be Braintree, it's very hard to do that through it being home owned by PayPal because they want their buttons on that platform. Now, I think since the change over to Alex Chris, some of that has changed, but under Dan Schulman, I know that they were trying to push a lot of that and had to really end up lowering their prices a ton in order to achieve those goals. One sec. I'm dying in here. I'm just turning on my air, or turning up my air. Okay. Let's see here. I'm buying SoFi aggressively before it gets S&P inclusion. I mean, that's a real thing. I do think that we do end up getting into the S&P. When? It really could be 24 months from now. Like there could be a massive difference between when we get in and when people are expecting. The same thing could be true about us getting in literally next. It's just we're in a really weird place where we're not the biggest companies to get in. I think AppLovin and Robinhood probably deserve it more just because they're $100 billion businesses versus a $30 billion business. But if they're looking for specific attributes of a company, SoFi might fit that better than some of those other names. But speaking of SoFi, I mean, come on now. You still have to give it some love. We found another all-time high close for the ticker symbol, 24.23, $24.23. It's absolutely insane. Like, we've been on an absolute tear. The only time that it's been higher was all the way back here, but that wasn't even the SoFi ticker. That was back whenever we were IPOE. Okay. So we're breaking new ground here. And if you guys have been following the channel, or I know some people say that they, look for advice on SoFi stock, whatever. I try not to have you guys follow me into moves, but I understand that there still is some people watching, and that tends to happen regardless. But seriously, I'm just some guy on the internet, so do your own due diligence. However, I've been covering this company since about this point onward, okay, all the way through. If you have been purchasing at any point during here, you are in a very, very good spot right now. It's an unbelievable time to be a SoFi shareholder. Weird noises? You hear weird noises? Oh, is it my chair? Yeah, it's because my mic is not perfectly set up right now. Things will have to get fixed. No? Okay, good. Yeah, it's probably the chair. If you're not used to it, I need to fix my mic settings. I don't know. It's not easily ported over. Get this boy some WD-40. Yeah, still got to do that. Oh man, it's been lazy season. Okay, let's also talk not just about SoFi and their current stock, which, by the way, I know it's been running, and that's very exciting. It doesn't mean that they're going to keep up this unbelievable climb. Yes, people are expecting rate cuts. However, we're no longer at 100% chance. It's funny, right? 100% chance used to mean there's not a chance that it isn't going to happen. But then that quickly gets readjusted. So right now we're at a 83.6% chance of a 25 basis point cut. 50 basis points is off the menu once again, and a 16.4% chance that there is no change to the rates. Now, the hopeful part for SoFi stock right now that's pushing us into new highs and higher multiples as well is the chance of a rate cut and acceleration in what's called rates. Sorry, I'm still worried about my mic. If Powell is hawkish and no rate cuts, SoFi could go back to 10. Honestly, no. I don't believe that, not for one bit. I think the market has realized that SoFi is not playing on like you have to think about it. SoFi is not even really selling home loans, okay? We're selling personal loans, which are super short duration loans, which means rate cuts barely even affect them, okay? We're talking about a 25 basis point cut here, 25 basis points. The difference between 25 basis points or not for SoFi's 13% loans, what are we talking about here? We're not going to cut the stock price from $24 down to 10 based on a 1/4%. It might have a bearish day. We might be down 5% that day. It's not going to be anything unremarkable or sorry, anything crazy for that matter. And yeah, if you do have the stomach for it, like we've seen what's happened. So tomorrow, I think I'm going to put out a video on the differences between Chime and SoFi. And I was under the assumption that Chime was still more expensive. It's actually not. SoFi is pretty well more expensive than Chime on a multiples perspective. But that was like whenever it was coming out that Chime was going to go public, Chime Financial, I said, this is going to do so well for SoFi stock because we're going to have a really good comp that people can end up looking at and saying, okay, which one is doing better? Should we give a premium to them? And at the time that they went public, Chime was more expensive than SoFi. And then in the months after that, SoFi has skyrocketed since, and Chime has essentially stayed flat. And I think that people are really realizing that, oh my gosh, whenever you look at SoFi's competitors, their execution is unreal. So we have to give them a premium. And I really do believe that if Chime didn't go public and we didn't see such a clear competitor, that it wouldn't be where it is today. It would be high. It still would be higher, but it wouldn't be quite the same. Because the same things that Chime's management is saying about what they're able to do and the margins that they're able to achieve and the growth rates and like the changing consumer behavior are the same ideals that you can have for SoFi. And I think people are applying those. So yeah, that I think is also very exciting. Let's get into another piece of SoFi news. Very, very small, but still could be exciting. What we talk about often is customer acquisition costs lately, and how SoFi wants to ramp customer acquisition cost. But what if SoFi is about to get a lot more customer brand awareness, but they've already prepaid for that right? TGL, let's not forget, this season 2 is coming up December 28th. Okay. So we're having the big golf teams coming out again, playing a little bit of indoor golf during the winter. And SoFi's name is plastered all over it, not just sponsoring a few rounds or the venue, but the entire sport itself. Okay. So TGL, we did see a big step up in growth during that season. There was a lot of activity, hundreds of millions of impressions, and that should be very fun. NFL, yeah, NFL's coming. Like these are sales and marketing expenses that SoFi has already, that's already being priced in, and yet the benefits still come for years and years and years. So it only gets better from here. I do think 1 million members per quarter is coming very soon. Yeah. And then the weird part is, like, we always talk about 1 million members. What happens whenever we get 1.1, 1.3, 1.4, you know? It's just hopefully going to continue to grow. And that is what you're going to see in my video as well, is that SoFi's stable execution is unlike anything I've really seen before. Like in fintech, you see a lot of explosive customer acquisition growth. Like Cash App, you see a lot of growth around tax time. Chime, you see a lot of growth around Q1 because of benefits from tax time. There's all these like spikes in user engagement because of a single feature that these apps have. But SoFi, honestly, you don't see a single seasonal event really. It's just continuous growth. You know, the churn rate on Chime is insane. They talk about their churn rate. They're like, oh, by year 2, we only have a 10% churn rate. How good is that? It's like, yeah, why did you specify year 2? Oh, because we have a 50% churn rate on year 1. What? What? Wait a second. What? Oh, okay. By the way, we know the activity rate of their customers now, so we actually see their total user count. Nothing special. You know? I don't know. Pretty interesting. How many times did I say, you know? You know? Is it really that bad, or are you guys just, you know? Okay. Let's talk trademarks. SoFi Insider, which is an account on Twitter, came out, and I don't think they're actually a SoFi insider. I just think that they are browsing SoFi's app code, looking at everything that SoFi can do, doing the groundwork that many people don't have the time to do. And they ended up showing off this tweet that essentially said they applied for 9 new trademarks. Okay. And these trademarks were all like the application dates were on August 15th. And some of these make sense. AI expense czar, debt coach, financial autopilot, invest coach. And so get your money right coach. With these trademarks, you kind of want to cover every single basis. I just realized my background is not my background. There we go. We gotta slowly make it more like home on this new computer. But what the heck is this? AI Doge, SoFi Doge, SoFi Doge Czar. What is that? For real. So I said, and I'm not meaning this very strong. Like, I mean, there's a couple parts that I don't understand. Why wouldn't it be under Galileo? Why would it be SoFi Doge? It doesn't really make all that much sense. But there has been a lot of times previously where Anthony Noto, during whenever Elon Musk was still a part of the government for Doge and working with Howard Lutnick to, help with a lot of these things, he was saying, hey, we can help with a lot of these payments, digital wallets, a SoFi-backed stablecoin, stablecoin backed 1-to-1 with US dollars, But there's all of these Doge comments. And I thought, okay, well, it's some sort of abbreviation. But anytime I asked anyone in the chat, I really couldn't find anything that aligned with, some sort of abbreviation. Now, people say stablecoin. Why would it be done in Dogecoin? That doesn't make any sense. We've only heard 2 comments from Anthony Noto about stablecoins, which was Ethereum network, and we've also heard Bitcoin payments as well. None of those line up to being Doge. So it's very weird. Then we ended up getting even more today. Speaking of stable coins and all of these things, we have new SoFi trademark applications: SoFi USD, SFD, SFUSD, SoFi USD. We're coming out with our own SoFi stablecoin. Okay. It's not Galileo stablecoin. It's literally SoFi's stablecoin, which is super interesting. Okay. So this is probably what is aligning with their international payments, all of these things, how they're going to be able to hold them in multiple different countries and different wallets, is that it will be its own SoFi digital coin. We're going to be up there counting, like this gives us another benchmark to see, okay, well, how much usage does SoFi end up seeing? We're going to be able to track assets under custody for the SoFi USD. We're going to see if it works with Paxos or who ends up setting it up. It's usually Paxos. And if that's the case, it's going to be under Solana or Ethereum, most likely, or maybe it's going to be across many different chains. That's the hope as time goes on. But we found 11 more trademarks that shows off even more. SoFi Wallet, SoFi SLTYM. I didn't see which one that one actually means, but very interesting. Spend less than you make? Maybe. Regardless, SoFi continues to push out new products, and they're really going into growth mode. And people said it wasn't going to happen, but now I really do think that we've transitioned over to the new back end of Technisys, and which is going to save us a lot of money, by the way, because it's held internally, and we still will get a bunch of customers in LATAM and all of these things. And we're pushing out all of these new debt coach, financial products, AI products. that are going to be set up with our own digital wallets. You can't get a stable coin without crypto. So crypto's on its way. A digital wallet's on its way. Our own stable coin's on its way. They really are working. They really, really are working. And what happened whenever Robinhood went from a time of, cutting and expense focus and headcount focus to full-on growth mode? The stock exploded. SoFi can have those moments too. We're seeing it. But that's why I continue to be very bullish here. Noto always says spend less than you make. Yeah, I mean, that could be it. That sounded so goofy. I don't know why I said it like that. Yeah, that could be it. We really need to avoid a recession. Hey, I mean, at the end of the day, the way that I'm going to judge SoFi is not based on its stock price, but based on the KPIs that they are able to still accumulate more members. Because even though their members might not be able to spend as much, they might not be able to pay back their loans as much during that hard period, they still are very well stress tested, and they're being very conservative on their loan growth, and the loan platform business will have saved them a ton of money because that's not their loans to begin with, but they're still making money on it. That there will come another side of that recession where SoFi comes out stronger with more members, with higher spend limits and everything. So, yeah, very good time. Now, hopefully, and SoFi has done these before, so hopefully SoFi will pick up on a little message if this becomes a big success. But Robinhood, we're hosting a Reddit AMA on Robinhood app with the CEO and co-founder Vlad Tenev and Joan. And they're going to be talking about crypto Thursday, August 21st at 10:45 to 11:15 a.m. It's 30 minutes of their time. It's nothing big, but boy, oh boy, is that exciting. I love the community engagement. 100% of their customers are retail investors. Well, actually not 100% anymore because they just bought Bitstamp. And there's some institutional clientele, but it's tiny, tiny. It's still fun that is their entire user base. If SoFi can then come out and do similar things, product announcements, focusing on growth, taking more market share, everything, it's going to be such a fintech boom. Oh, man. I literally couldn't be happier with my portfolio. It's unbelievable. I hold so many AI names, big tech, like unbelievable companies that I'm focused on actual earnings expansion. Okay. The only ones that I really don't see earnings expansion on is like my small bet on SBET. And honestly, I feel insanely comfortable with these names right now. I'm becoming a big Ethereum bull, hilariously enough. But I think that the government opening its doors to Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies essentially should be looked at as a technology play, and that many companies will be focused on that. Palantir, I honestly, at the beginning of the stream, I know there's a lot more people in right now than whenever I started, but there was a Citron research report from Andrew Left that said, OpenAI at 500 billion makes Palantir look like it should be at 40. I don't necessarily agree with those ratings. I would buy Palantir a lot sooner than $40 per share if it started to fall. I'm not buying it here, but I do agree that OpenAI makes some expensive SaaS names look like they are not good deals. I'm a big, big fan of buying those names, and I think that is a generational name, OpenAI meaning. Same thing with Palantir. I think that's a generational name as well, but it does look expensive here, being roughly a similar price to OpenAI. I don't really put those in the same regard. And I know that sounds crazy, but like, just look at their next year's earnings. Like Palantir is expecting 5.6 billion. OpenAI is expecting nearly 30 billion. Andrew Left, more like Andrew Wrong. Am I right? Yeah, I mean, he could definitely be wrong. I would not, dude, even though I'm not bullish on Palantir's valuation, because I just think it's expensive and that's just the way that I look at the stock. I would never, ever short it. And I can still understand how amazing that company and their execution looks. Like it is incredible. And all his comments about the competition being stiff for Palantir and all this stuff, what I don't agree with that at all. I think Palantir honestly feels like they have zero competition. But OpenAI is a very special breed working with Microsoft and Apple and some of these names, and will get very preferential treatment. And they have a long, long road ahead. A long road ahead. Their business could multiply drastically in an agentic AI world. And in ChatGPT agents is just the very first start, but you can see how that could evolve into fully autonomous, working employees where they're selling these things for $20,000 a month to do really high-end work to replace human capital. You're essentially buying like silicon labor rather than human labor. Let the GPUs work for you. Bullish NVIDIA, bullish the AI names. Yeah. Palantir's a no touch right now, too high, but too strong to fall. I mean, that could be a good way of looking at it. Honestly, there's a lot of support behind Palantir. I would never short I wouldn't short a thing, especially not a high flying name. Like, as Warren Buffett has famously said, I think it's Warren Buffett's quote. It definitely gets, it's like almost the Churchill effect. Like if you don't know a financial quote, then you just give it to Warren. Like there's many quotes that are not actually Warren's quotes. They're like Benjamin Graham's, but people give them to Warren Buffett because he's said those on behalf of Benjamin Graham. But just the quote of markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. I would not ever short an overpriced name that has a structurally sound business underneath it. If you think like Herbalife or some company is like an actual scam and like they're running a business that shouldn't exist 10 years from now, sure. But Palantir will be here 10 years from now, and they'll be a lot stronger then than they are today. I see you behind the Wendy's dumpster, Warren Buffett. Yeah, all the quotes get given to Warren Buffett. Sorry, buddy. So Palantir does $5 billion in revenue and valued over $400 billion. I haven't been paying attention. That's wild. It is pretty crazy, but you know what? The margins are good. The net dollar retention's really good. Like there's things there that do make a lot of sense, and that you don't see that at OpenAI. And I think in the fast moving world in artificial intelligence, it's easier to point at the other competitors in the consumer facing names and say these companies also have good products. But it's also harder to look at competitors for enterprise products than it is for consumer, at least being a retail. You can go around with enterprise clients and ask customers, but it's nothing like getting your hands on those products and feeling them out for yourself. You can even watch demos of Gemini and Llama and ChatGPT, and they can look amazing, but you really don't have a favorite until you try a Grok or a Gemini, stuff like this. The problem that I also have with some of these products is that you don't actually get a hands-on feel. And so even some of the software names that I do have, like Salesforce and stuff, which I think are being, criminally sold off right now, but I've had hands-on experience with them for a large part of my life, and it was a game changer for our business before. Like whenever the financial institution that I worked with ended up going over to Salesforce, it was an unbelievable upgrade. So, yeah. Does SoFi have a legit $400 billion market cap chance? That's a hard question. I think Nubank, I've definitely said, would be a $400 billion business. In that same regard, does SoFi ever get to be one of the largest financial institutions in America? Maybe. Would it be in my lifetime? I don't know. But even then, I think the way that the next generation, the generation after that, chooses their bank, and the businesses that choose their bank will be very different. And it'll almost be like social media businesses. Like, you're either going to be in the top 20 or top 10, or you're not going to make it at all. Like, the difference in the high end versus the short end will be unbelievably massive because of the distribution. In financial institutions today, it's not quite the same. Now, I understand that capital is capital, and if you're lending out $1, then I understand that. But what it'll actually come down to, in my opinion, is the underwriting capabilities. So SoFi's growth can be uncapped because they're not using their capital, they're using other people's capital, and they're using their underwriting capabilities. And if you start writing in tens of billions, that's good. If you start writing in 50 billions, hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars per year, you're going to understand the customer so much better than anyone else. So, is it possible? Yes. Yeah, anything is possible, but I don't know. I don't even really like fielding that question. 100 billion, I can see. It's only 15x bigger than today. Yeah, I mean, the problem is that if we stay a consumer business, right, consumer focused, that international growth is so interesting growing out of the United States, because every other geography is not worth what it is here. Like, a customer here is worth more than any other place in the world. And I say here, I'm in Canada. Like, even the customers in Canada are not worth what they're worth in America. So that's important. But in financial services, there's wealth management, there's the financial infrastructure, there's insurance, there's business banking, all of these things that all come with working capital, and like, there's just unlimited amounts of growth. It's quite interesting. Well, honestly, I don't think it multiplies like that, because we are tapping into the higher end of customers. And if there's not the quantity of member, or the quality of member that SoFi is going after, there's literally not 50 million of them in America. So we're going to hit a brick wall where the customers that we get later on are not going to be worth what they are today. Now, what they're worth today, we still not like. There's a good chart on Nubank where the longer that a customer stays on our platform, the amount of revenue that you can make from them over time gets better and better and better, because they like more of your services and you're offering them more. So I don't think that we've seen that yet. Just SoFi is such a new business from, getting direct deposit relationships a few years ago to now. Like, we definitely have not seen like, Nubank had seen growth in average revenue per cohort growing consistently for 5+ years. So we don't even know how much the average revenue per user sort of caps out at. Canada is in North America. Yeah, but I don't think that myself or Mexicans or Cubans or Jamaicans, people in Haiti, are calling themselves Americans. Americans are usually in the United States. North America actually has a lot of countries. I wouldn't necessarily count myself as an American, even though I am in North America for sure. America do be a continent. It's true. We're at 9% short now. Is that what SoFi's at? That's crazy, dude. Oh, that's such a good feeling. We accept you. Oh, thanks, guys. Tanner, why don't you own Tencent? I'm just not into the Chinese names right now. You're racist? My bad. Yeah. Just guess I'm I don't know. What is that? Countryist? Not a continentist? I don't know. Yeah, it wouldn't be race. It would be like a continentist. Countryist. I don't know. I'm surprised by how much skepticism around the $40 billion market cap from Tanner. Well, I really mean it in terms of if I'm going to be holding it around that time. Because like it'll be under different management throughout those periods. There'll be many different marketing strategies, business strategies. Like just because a company sees growth doesn't mean that it's going to continue to see that growth. And most times that companies, as they age, slow down their revenue expectation. You know, Capital One was a financial, giant and had grown significantly fast and then slowed down. Ally Bank grew, like Ally Bank was what SoFi, like that was people's expectations of what SoFi, or like it was SoFi before SoFi. Okay. That was the original, like, oh my gosh, this is the fintech. They're going to dominate. Nothing's going to stop them. They're the next JP Morgan. And now no one thinks that. You know, they dominated for a little bit and then just sort of, I'm not a national. No, I'm just saying, I don't think you can call me. I don't think you can call me an American. I'm Canadian. They didn't have Noto. Yeah, no, I agree. But Noto's like in his late 50s. You know, we're not going to have Noto forever. Dude's worth 9 figures. He's not going to stick around forever. He's got a big family. He's going to spend some time with them. Water tax. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the heads up. It's funny. Like anyone can say, drink water, and I have to do it. You know, every comment out here, I was just, okay. Noto is the biggest asset we have. Honestly, the longer I follow SoFi, the more I begin to realize how awesome, Noto is. He is a leader. And anytime that we, sway away from that, we have to remember, like, this guy hasn't lost a thing in his life. Like, he literally has just been a born winner. Like, everything. It's hilarious how well accomplished he is. And then think that he's going to run into some brick wall at this point. Heck no. SoFi has 2 CEOs and 2 CFOs. It's true. They really do. Also, guys, okay, so with these names here, you know what I found? I was reading a report from YouTube, and my account is updated to their new version of YouTube, and that they're slowly rolling them out. And so each live stream, it's not that I've changed some setting, it's that this is actually the direction that they're headed, is they're only going to use these ats and no more usernames, because people are acting like other people, and like they're worried about, like, not identity fraud or whatever, but just having unique usernames to differentiate people, so then the wrong people don't get modded or something like this. So yeah, it will It will change for Amit's channel and everyone else's channel. So, yeah. It does suck, but this is the direction. So, I think you can actually change your on YouTube. You can, but you have to have a unique one. So, I would do it earlier rather than later, so then you can secure some sort of unique name. Yeah. I miss being called WWW. Oh, see, I didn't even realize that was you. Yeah, see, that sucks. I'm going to have to get to know you guys for all your new names now. Some people are pretty similar, and I recognize the, like, Sodak Zach is Sodak Zach on every platform. Yeah. Today, I did the unthinkable. I sold my entire SoFi position through SoFi or through covered calls. I wish I could say SoFi covered calls. That would be a benefit. Maybe soon. Maybe this quarter. It happens. Okay. You put out a, $24 price target, something like this, and it happens. Now, are you getting back in? Are you going to stay and look for better pricing? That's up to you. But I'm sure you didn't lose money. Congratulations. You took profits on an unbelievable name. I think that's okay. Last 3 months, we're up 80%. Unbelievable. Last year, we're up 241%. Guys, can we go through all the bookmark names and everything of all the people that said, oh, you can't touch that name. It's dead money. Don't touch it. This company's absolutely trash, yada, yada. The list goes on and on and on. And there's a lot of people in chat that took a rashy bunch of crap from everyone that was coming in chat. What's his name? Captain Crunch? Where did he go? He said this company was falling down to $2.50. He was adamant that his picks were going to end up dominating SoFi. And it was so clear. And how dumb could we be to have not have seen it? And we're up 240%. It's an unbelievable return in 365 days. Now, I appreciate you guys, being very nice and saying things, but like saying that I helped through that or whatever. But honestly, it was all you. So this community is freaking awesome. And I didn't ban him, did I? I don't think I did. I always liked whenever I saw him come in. I usually only ban people for spamming and stuff like this. Not people that have differing opinions. That I don't really care about. Because then it allows me to bounce. Like I actually can work with that in chat. No, you did. I would have sold. Yeah, but guys, I am just some guy on the internet. Okay. I mean, right now in this bull market, we're doing all right. The calls have been good, but it's not always going to be that way. Do your own due diligence. Okay. Please. Intel almost hit 26. I know. And you know what? I really am really considering putting a big position on it. Like you see SoftBank making a position, the Trump administration. Like I don't like that. Almost seems a little bit too good of a setup. And obviously the market thinks that if they're bringing it up. What a terrible 1 year chart, by the way. Oh my God. Look at the volatility on that. That's insane. But in the more recent days, you're seeing multiple pops here, falling and popping. And I don't know. I like the amount of institutional and government attention that they're seeing right now. It definitely is interesting. I want Strongman back. Yeah, that one sucked too. Not because that they weren't going after, like, it's fine whenever people go after the SoFi thing, but they thought that I was, one, being paid by SoFi. They don't even talk to me. They won't do anything. Like, it's insane. He was just questioning my character, saying, you know, poor thing, like calls that I've made out poorly before, and saying how I don't know. I don't know. That sucked. It's funny because, like, I'm on the internet and you'd think I have like tough skin for that kind of stuff, but actually I really don't. Like, I read every bad comment. Like, I don't know. You get in your head. The past winners do not make it, like, it's much easier to hold a company whenever people don't know that you hold it, because, hey, you get it wrong, that's fine. Being, completely out in the open and say, hey, these are my positions, and then people get to just absolutely rag on you whenever they go down or up over time. It's much harder to hold your positions through those periods whenever an entire community is coming after you saying, hey, this is you know an awful company. I know more than you because of this background, XYZ. Professional institutional investors are telling me that SoFi is a scam, stuff like this. And they were all wrong. So, yeah. You and Amit made me so much money. I literally love you, man, and wish you the best. Wish you the best. Pumped for your streams every night. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. You guys are all right. Paul, you know too much now. You got to chill. Make sure Tanner isn't late. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't see the time. It's 9:29. In 1 minute, we're about to transition over to the Tech Bros Weekly. I'm going to go straight from here over to that other stream where we're going to have another conversation with others. If you guys want to join that, it'll be on the stream, whatever. Make sure you subscribe down below. But I'm going to head over there now to make sure that I'm not late. Do not believe the lies. Bye for now.